have it. And okay, now welcome to the session, guys. Now, as I said, the purpose of today's session is we do a lot of work with the ICBE Business Excellence Skillnet, and obviously we run a lot of PMP courses for a lot of your companies and this project management professional. And every so often people, I suppose, see this term PMP, or they see their colleagues with it, PMP, and they go, what's that about? So we just decided just to put on a quick information session today to say, what is it all about? How do you get it, etc. So look, in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to talk you through this, okay? So look, my name is Seamus Collins. I'm from Velopi. We're a project management registered education provider. That's what we do. So we're aligned with the PMI, and it's a certification from them, okay? So what I'm going to do really is talk you through this and talk you through this, all the questions over the next 30 minutes, take some questions and answers, and hopefully by the time you leave here, you'll know what it is, you'll know what it's not, and it'll have hopefully, I suppose, demystified it for you, okay? Now, I'm not going to go through introductions with anyone here because we don't have time, and you probably didn't volunteer to give introductions anyway, so I'm just going to push on, but if anyone has questions at the end, I'll take them. So, we're Velopi, we're a registered education provider. We're doing this with the ICBE Business Excellence Skillnet. So the content there for the next 20 minutes or 25 minutes is, as outlined in the heading for this, you know, what is the PMP all about? Why would you want it? How would you get it? What's involved in the course itself? You know, so at least people kind of lift the hood and go, what's here? What's under this? And then I suppose, how would you get it? Like, it's not just attending a course and getting a cert printed. What's the timeline and, you know, what support will you get? And I'm going to talk you through that. So at least this should answer the majority of questions. If somebody else has any questions, feel free to raise a hand during it there, or feel free to stop me at any point as well. There's no problem. Now, first off, what is the PMP? Now, maybe I should start off with first, what is the PMI? All right, the PMI is the Project Management Institute. I suppose it's a global body, US-based originally, and they have a number of certifications. So they've got the PMP being, I suppose, the most widely recognized one they have. Now, they have other ones. They have what's called the Certified Associate in Project Management, the Program Management Professional, the Scheduling Management Professional. They have a whole, I suppose, array, portfolio management, etc. They have an array of certifications. But the most widely recognized one is the PMP. And PMP stands for Project Management Professional. And I suppose really it is recognized and demanded by organizations worldwide. And again, I'll talk you through that in a moment as to, you know, what benefits it could bring you. But at the moment in the world, there's about 1 million people have the certification. That's and before the meeting today, I just said, okay, I'll have a quick check there, because often people call our offices and go, you know, what is it and is it valuable? And I say, yeah, it's recognized. But we'll see in a moment. I just typed in there just a few minutes before this meeting into Irish Jobs. I typed in PMP, and something like 100 jobs come back with PMP preferred or PMP required. If I type in project manager, about 1,000 jobs come back, you know, looking for that. And the funny thing about it is that even roles that you might say aren't project management related are now starting to show up. And the one that showed up on the top of the list today was accounts receivable, right? Project management certification required here to manage this, whatever business they're trying to do. So I suppose project management has drifted into more roles than the project manager. And a lot of work now is projectized, for the want of a better word. So project management and project management certification is showing up all over the place really as a prerequisite. But I suppose really at the end of the day, because it's a widely recognized certification, it validates your competence to perform a role of a project manager, right? Now, in here, just as one slide, I put it in, I'm going to share the slides with you after. You know, just to go back to basics, why would you want to, before you'd ever consider a project management certification, why would you want to even develop project management capability? And I suppose, look, I've put together this slide a while back and you can take it, reuse it, etc. But I suppose there's benefits here. Why would we want project management? You know, we have this common language, we have everyone using the same methodology and approach. And that's what the PMP does then, is that all people are using the same methodology. And if you join a group that's PMP certified, you know, they're speaking a certain language, you know that language, you understand the tools and techniques, so you can quickly move into an organization and run a project if they're already all, you know, PMP certified, or they speak the language of the PMI. Now, again, as I said, it's an internationally recognized best practice as well. So again, you know, the tools and techniques described in their body of knowledge, what they call the PMBOK, project management body of knowledge, that's very useful as well. Then that you can say, well, this is considered a best practice, how I scope, how I schedule, how I manage risk, etc., etc. Now, I'm not here maybe to discuss this slide, but it's there as a background for you as well, just to reinforce why you'd need project management before you'd even think about getting a project management certification. But why do we need, I suppose, this project management certification called the PMP? And again, if you look at this, maybe to reinforce my earlier point, projects are big business, right? And this, you know, we get these reports constantly of, you know, the amount of roles. So I got one of these back in 2013, and it was, you know, the growth was something like 6 trillion or something. And I goes, that can't be, that's too ambitious altogether. Yet, as we worked our way through the last decade, that actually did happen. Whereas now, they're saying by 2027, 87, 88 million people will work in project management type roles. And as I said, based on what I saw in Irish Jobs this morning, there is that, it's creeping into so many different areas. So project management is a very portable skill, right? It's a thing that people can maneuver and use as a vehicle to move around. Now, I know from my own experience in the last recession, you know, we would have met people that were unemployed, civil engineers, architects, etc. We'd have repurposed them, reskilled them in project management, and they moved from architectural, civil engineering roles across into medical device, pharma roles, etc., and using project management as the vehicle. So they had skills in that, they got the certification in that, and they used that vehicle then to travel. But I suppose the bottom line, though, is we can talk up project management, but there's a lot of poor project managers out there, right? And I suppose that is part of where the certification comes into play then, is that, look, $1 in every 10 is wasted, which is considered, if you think of the amount being spent on projects in your organizations, there's a huge amount of waste. So we don't, I summarize that by the box there, I'm saying we don't need more project managers. Well, we do need more, but we need better ones. And I suppose that's a big part of the certification, is to try and bring everyone up to an internationally recognized standard, so that there's not somebody just going, I'm a project manager. Well, are you certified? And you go, well, no. Well, hang on a second. Why haven't you been certified? What's stopping you? And then when it comes down to the choice between 2 people in a role, how can, you know, how this differentiates you from the person beside you? Okay. Now, again, anecdotally, we have people here coming to us all the time. And the best one I had recently was a guy coming to me again. He said, I don't think I'll do the certification. You know, I've got a great CV, etc. He comes back to us a week later and he says, I said, why are you here? And he goes, I need the certification. I said, why? And he said, it's like this, Seamus. 100 people apply for a job. 5 of them have the PMP. They interview the 5, they find 1, and the other 95 of us aren't getting a look in. And it has become such a screening criteria, because people don't have time to go through all the CVs. So they'll filter out people that are certified, and then they'll use that certification to say, look, this person will fit in here because our people are already certified, etc., etc. Now, again, that's what people come on the courses for and get the certification, is that I suppose it's a bit of future proofing. And now more than ever, you know, future proofing, I think, given the, you know, the amount of people made unemployed, etc. Again, sometimes people coming on our course, very often I'd say, when's the last time you have a certification of note? And some of them would say, well, I did a degree back in 1995, but I've done nothing since. And that might have worked once upon a time, but I think continuous, you know, improvement of your skills, and maybe, I suppose, certifying yourself is of value. Now, again, I'm not saying this, I'm pulling these quotes from, you know, PMP here, the CIO magazine, you know, ranked it as the top project management certification. Now, look, you will have certifications from other bodies. You might say, well, I'm Prince certified, or I'm, you know, IPMA, or I'm whatever. Often we'd have people even coming to us with masters in project management, but they work for a US multinational and they need to get the PMP. And that's how valuable it is. And in my own work with UCC, where we lecture in project management, so important was the PMP, we included it as a module in year 2 of the Masters, so that when a person was leaving, they were leaving really with double belted. They were leaving with their Masters, but they were also leaving with PMP certification, because it was becoming a thing in industry. I have a Masters, but are you certified by the PMI? No. So we just rolled it in and made it easy then for people to get the certification as part of year 2. The other thing, I suppose, that is of interest to you as an individual, we covered the earlier slides about, why the company would want to develop project management and project managers with certification. The salary surveys don't lie, and again, the salary surveys are, saying people with PMP are making more money. And again, that's of interest to you all, I trust. Anyway, so that's why would you want it? How would you get it though, right? How would you get it? Well, the challenge here is this, is that there's a multiple choice exam, right? Now, it's a 200 question multiple choice exam. It's to be done in 4 hours. Now, historically, these used to be done at a Prometric test centre in Cork or Dublin. You had to book a slot, you had to go to the exam centre, you had to do it. With the advent of COVID-19, the exam now can be taken from the privacy of your own home, which is great. Now, unless you were in Douglas and Cork yesterday, where I had a bunch of people taking the exam, and there was a bloody power outage just as they were going to start. So again, look, that could happen anywhere, I suppose. But what I'm saying is, you schedule your own exam with the PMI. Okay. Now, that's great in one way, in that you can schedule it to suit your own life. The danger, though, with you scheduling anything is, you are busy people. Will you schedule it, or will you kick it down the road? So we'll work with people, I suppose, really to help them schedule their exam and come up with a study plan. Because you get it too close, and people don't have enough time to get their score up on the sample exams we provide. If you push it out too far, people procrastinate, student syndrome, etc., and they don't do anything. So look, it's a 200 question 4-hour exam. You have to have attended 35 hours training with somebody like ourselves, and you have to adhere to this code of ethics. Now, I'll show you exactly some of the content now in a moment, but that's roughly the timeline. There's an application to be done, there's classroom training, there's study, and then there's an actual exam at the end of it all. Okay? Now, it's not just as simple as paying your money and getting it, right? There's a form to be filled up, and we help you fill that form. So we've got what we call an experience calculator. And many people that come to us would say, oh my goodness, I don't have 3 years of project management experience. But the funny thing is, when we tell them what project management is, they go, actually, I do. I didn't call it project management. I wasn't called the project manager, but I actually was scoping. I was putting timelines on things. I was coming up with budgets. I was identifying risks. I was putting mitigations. I was sending progress reports. I was the project manager. My God, I didn't realize it, right? So we help people piece together their story, right? And we go back 7, 8 years with them over their career, and we say, okay, what part of that role was project management? What part of that role was project management, etc. And we piece together and help them compile their application for the PMI, okay? Now, maybe I should stop there. Has anyone got any questions there on this specific aspect of it? You know, are we okay? Bernard, have you any questions there on that, or Robert or Pat, John, anyone? Are you okay?
No, all good.
All good? Okay. Now, as I said, a few people may have joined late there. Pat, have you any questions on that, or John? No?
No, I'm good, Seamus. Thank you.
Okay. Now, hopefully, as I said, I know I've only got a short amount of time, so I'm speaking reasonably quickly. And I'm not giving you much time to engage with me, but I want to answer the questions I set out to answer, and I think you'll have most of the story at that point. So look, we help you fill up the application form, right? Now, and we get your application accepted. We work with you to get your application accepted. And once you have the application accepted, well, then you can start to think about picking an exam date, etc. Okay? Now, what are the course modules? Because people often go, okay, that certification sounds valuable. That certification sounds interesting. Yeah, I think I could fill up the form. But what are the modules in any project management course? And these are the modules here from the PMI, the PMBOK, the Project Management Body of Knowledge. These are the main chapters. Scope, what's in and out of scope? How do you define the scope of the job? Timeline, scheduling. How long will it take? What's the critical path and all that? Budget. How do I build a budget? How do I control the budget? What is the quality standard we're trying to achieve? How will we achieve it? Resourcing. And this resourcing now has expanded more than human resourcing. It's expanded into people, equipment, and materials. Communication, what's the format and frequency of communication? Risk, positive and negative, opportunity and threat. How will we mitigate it? What's the contingency plans? Procurement, is some of the project going to be outsourced? Is it going to be done by a third party? What contract type should I have? How will I manage the vendors? Stakeholders, who are the stakeholders on the project? How will I manage them? How will I engage with them? How will I get them on board if they're resistant? And integration then is the concept of pulling all these pieces together into a cohesive project plan for the project. Now, again, when people see this, it starts to make sense to them, because you can apply this framework then, or this model, to any project. And when some people come on the course, fair enough, some of the modules here will be a stretch because maybe you never manage budget, or maybe you never managed a vendor. But everyone's been involved in projects where they've had to define the scope or come up with a timeline, manage people, send progress reports, identify risks, etc. So often you find is that, fair enough, the course will be a stretch for some people, but if it wasn't a stretch, they'd be no good, right? That's the first thing I'd always say. We have to learn something. But very often people can relate to this very quickly, and they go, oh yeah, geez, yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, okay, this just underlines and underpins and formalizes a lot of stuff I've been through myself. And then you can see in here that the project is going to go through some sort of a life cycle, from initiating, where the project gets kicked off, where you come up with a plan. I start to execute the plan. I start to track, are we sticking to the plan? Are we drifting so far off the plan? We need to replan. And eventually we need to go to closing out. So again, people can think of the project going through this life cycle from beginning to end. And we'll explore these, not just as a life cycle, but as these process groups. What's happening in these initiating processes, planning processes, executing processes, etc. So again, I think a lot of people can relate to this, and you spend time on each one of these in class, scoping, scheduling, etc., etc. Now, what support will you get? Now, this is the way the programs work. If I just gave you a formal class in this, most of you would never get the certification, right? So because there's so many other bits to it along the way in terms of the application, etc., etc. So what we try and do as part of, and as we've been doing for a long time, is map out a process for people. And we say, okay, if you join the program, we help you first putting that application together. Okay, what projects have you been involved in? What project management experience have you? And again, there's no problem there. It's just going back over people's careers really and picking out those projects that we're going to use. So the next thing then is the classroom training. And the classroom training as a moment is all delivered over Zoom, obviously, but it's a module, say like scoping. We give you a lecture on something. We give you exercises to do in breakout sessions. But at the end of each session, we give you exams to do. So we'd give you a module on scoping, and then we'll give you 10 questions on scoping. And really that's there as an honesty test, because if you get the questions right, it's kind of going, yeah, you're learning something and the trainer's doing a good job. But if you're getting the ones wrong, you say, well, either the trainer's not doing a good job or I need to spend more time studying. So it's really a very good thing at the end of each module. Now, it's not there to catch people out. It's just there to reinforce the learning, but also to highlight to you that you have certain weaknesses. Now, again, you'd often find you might be very strong in some areas, but you might, as I said, never have managed a budget, or you might never have managed a vendor, and you go, there are my blind spots at the moment. I need to put more study into those. The class is split 2 days, 2 days, and 1 day. And the reason we run it over a longer period of time is that people can absorb more information when we break the class up. If you try to do this in 1 week, like some people do, you'd be full after 2 days, right? It's better that it's split out, that you take a break away from it, reflect on it, come back fresh, take on more information and go again. Now, I know some people want to immerse themselves in it. That's grand, but look, it works better this way. Believe me, you take more information in. Plus, it also allows you the time off from work. Not many people can just go, I'm off there for a week, especially at the moment. Most people we're meeting are busier than ever, is what we're seeing. So again, taking a week off is not possible, but taking 2 days, 2 days, and 1 day, and doing this over a period of time is better. As soon as you finish the course, we'll give you access to a bank of online exams and other study support materials, right? Now, they are all included as part of a course. And what you're doing there is you're doing these mock exams and trying to get your score up to the pass mark. On that exam simulator, there is a whole load of analyzer tools, that you can run. So you'll do a full-length exam. You can hit an analyze button. It will analyze your exam and highlight the areas you have to study. So you're not going back in like a needle into a haystack saying, what will I try and improve on? The simulator will tell you the areas you're weak on, and then you can study those. You're studying a smaller and smaller amount of material to bring your score up. And people that pass our simulator pass the exam. So that's a great comfort to people as well. If they get a score on our simulator, they're confident going to the test center. The other thing we do for people all the way through is that if you are struggling, you have study support all the way through. So you can pick up the phone at any point and say, Seamus, I'm struggling here on cost. Can we have a Zoom call there? Talk me through it again. I'm really struggling. Or talk me through risk again. I'm not getting the score up on risk, or whatever it may be. So again, it's supported, and then what to expect on the day. And again, we talk you through what's going to be on the screen, how the invigilators will monitor you, what are the really hot topics, etc. And we give you all this support right up to the exam day. And I suppose that's why people come on the program very often, is that, you know, people, I don't want you signing up for something and being left high and dry. We're taking you all the way from the application right through to the certification exam. Now, people often say to me, how long will this take? We've seen people do this very quickly, you know, wrap it up in a month. We've seen people take 3 months. People take a year, right? It depends. People have a life. No, somebody said to me recently, they said, would 8 weeks be enough, Seamus? And my answer was 8 weeks is plenty if you do something in the first 7, right? But if you don't, well, then 8 weeks is not enough. And that's what the thing is that you need to set time out to study, you know, and again, you want to immerse yourself in this, then you get the most from it as well, because fair enough, you can pass it, get the piece of paper, get the certification. But if you spend time studying the modules, you get a huge amount from the course overall. And that's the feedback we'd often get from people, even experienced people that come back and they'd say after, I only came along, Seamus, for the certification, but Jesus, I took a lot from that. It forced me to think about tools I had forgotten about, or I wasn't aware of forecasting, or I hadn't thought about risk being positive and negative. I only thought about the negative, not the opportunity. So now I've taken away some new ideas from the course as well. Okay. Now, that's really what I wanted to cover with you. And the last slide there is just the ICBE course that's going to come up and starting next week. The good thing about the course starting next week, again, is the course normally costs €1,195, but the ICBE and Grania, etc., and Alison, like they have the Skillnet COVID-19 response fund. So they have heavily discounted the program at this point. Now, I should call out to you there that there's an exam certification fee payable directly to the PMI of $555. That has nothing to do with us or the ICBE. That's a separate payment you would make to the PMI. Okay. Now, we have 5 minutes, so I'm exactly where I wanted to be. Now, I know it was quick, but you have my email address there if you want something. I'll ask Grania to share these slides with you. And is there any questions there now at this point? Anyone have a question? And I'll try and answer it as best I can. Or if it's not something you want to ask here in front of the crowd, I'll talk to you separately offline about it. Okay. So,
hey, it's Katrina here. How are you?
Katrina.
Just a quick question on those dates. Is that just one exam, or is there more? Is that one full course there? Those dates?
That's one full course. Those 5 dates.
Is there further dates coming up?
The reason I'm trying to push this course is the following: is that there will be further courses later in the year, right? We've run these courses regularly, but this one is heavily subsidized because that COVID fund was available. Now, obviously, I think there's 8 or 9 people signed up for this already because they go, Jesus, the price will never be better than this. But I don't know what will be happening down the line, or I don't know if Grania's on the call or not. But like usually with funds, I usually take money when it's on the table. You know, I can't guarantee that there will be funds there in September, October when we run the next lot of courses. I know we're running another one in July, September, October, but I'm not guaranteeing that or I don't think Grania can guarantee that there will be funding available for those.
Okay, thank you.
You know. Anyone else? Bernard, have you any questions? Are you okay with that?
Hi, Grania here, Seamus. Hi, Katrina. Yeah, chances
Hello.
are we will be able to run, you know, another program, but as Seamus says, you know, there's no guarantee on that. As of right now, we don't have one scheduled, and we probably won't have one certainly over the summer. So that's really the answer. But we will be looking at doing something, I guess, probably in September. But the rates there haven't been decided as yet.
Okay, thank you. I suppose it was more for myself around notions for the 10th and the 11th and that kind of thing. That's fine. Thank you.
There's one other thing, Katrina, as well, and I should have mentioned that the PMI changed the course every 4 years, approximately. And the next change date is December 31st this year, right? So if you are planning on doing PMP, try and get it through before December 31st, because the current exam is stable. The content has been in place and we've been constantly refining our course and exams. No, after January, again, of course, it will stabilize, but given the current one is very stable, a lot of people are trying to get the certification through before December 31st, because stability is a good thing when you kind of have a good feel for the exam, the content, etc., etc.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, any other questions, guys?
Yeah, hi, Seamus, Bernard here, and again, may not be for this in terms of I'm deciding at the moment whether I do the second year in UCC.
Yes.
If you do the course directly with yourselves, do I still need to do it then? Does that module get credited?
Yeah,
And
well,
that may not be a question and I'm happy to go talk to you.
Well, I know everything, Bernard, on this, right? So, no, in UCC, if you have decided to do this module and you are already certified, you still have to do a mock exam for the UCC exam board, but only the mock exam. You wouldn't have to attend the lectures. Okay, so but that's all credit you'd get for it, is that you wouldn't have to attend lectures, but you would get the 5 credits, and you have to sit one mock exam to show that you have passed the module. So it will save you time. Now, we've had a few people do it that way, Bernard, to take stress out of year 2 per se, to take one, because they'll say, I'll be PMP certified before it. Other people will kick the can down the road and go the other way. They'll go, I'll do it in UCC and I'll do it there. But, again, second year is probably going to be busy enough if you can take stress out of it.
Yeah.
As well with the UCC one, that's going to be 2021, Bernard.
Yeah.
So that will add a layer of complexity to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we had 16 people here, well, 15 plus myself. Look, I hope you found today beneficial, guys, and it answered a few questions. And again, feel free to share the presentation with other people. I'll share it with Grania. And if you have any questions, just reach out to me and I'll be happy to have a chat with you offline about your own situation, because as I said, you may not want to talk here in a public forum. Okay. Any other questions before I go? No? Okay. Look, best of luck. Enjoy the weekend. There's one question there. Just want to make sure there's not a question coming in chat. Okay. No, we're good. Look, guys, pleasure. Thank you for taking time out to come along. And if you need anything else, just come back and have a chat.
Thanks,
Cheerio.
Seamus.
Best of luck, guys. Bye-bye.